good. Oh, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode 4 of the Homeschool Mom series. I created this series because I truly feel that the homeschool journey is an individual one. There are so many choices you can make and so many paths you can make. And a lot of us here in SoCal have been finding one another because of our Mom Bear Warrior homeschool choices. And my guest today is a fellow center mom. I get to see her and her beautiful first grader every day at pick up and drop off. And but we first found each other right around the crazy time here in LA in 2020. And when all the moms were on text threads looking for the play dates, who's sovereign, who believes in freedom, who believes in choices. And we kept finding each other. And my guest, Karla Luna, she decided, hey, does anyone want to learn Spanish? And she created these little groups. But I'm going to let her introduce herself as well. Karla, thank you so much for playing today.
Heidi, thank you so much for having me on the podcast today. I feel so special and so honored to be a part of this. And I think that what you're doing is amazing, and it's a blessing to have you. And I'm excited to share some really fun and important information with you today about homeschooling.
Awesome. How did you get started in the homeschool journey and then the Spanish, teaching Spanish? Mm-hmm.
Sure. So I started homeschooling because I realized there weren't many traditional schools that were incorporating learning in a fun way through art. And also because my daughter, she really likes to learn through play, and she is very active. And I just felt that with homeschooling we would have more of an opportunity to give her what she's interested in, more of that, to feed her more of that. For example, dance, gymnastics, choir. She loves art, and she loves to do hands-on activities. So we did find a learning center, and she goes there, and that's where she goes just about 2 or 3 days a week. And the other days I'm able to take her to her activities, like the dance that I mentioned, the gymnastics, and she loves it, and she's happy. And I just see that it really feeds her soul. And for now, this is what likes and what's working for us. As kids grow older, they change, so it might look a little bit different next year. But for now, I'm grateful that we're able to do it this way, and we have more control of our schedule and the way she learns.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And that's to me is conscious parenting. You're putting the will of the child, what's the best for them in a conscious way. And you're not worried about it. I see so many parents worried about following the norm, and just get to school 9 to 3, 5 days a week. It's just, it doesn't have to be like that. So good for you. And she is definitely a bright light. I call her a little star seed because she gets out, she is bright light, ready to soak it all in. She's fabulous.
Thank you. Well, she's really enjoying this experience, and I also see that she's more centered, and the people that she's around are very conscious people and instructors, and it's just really helping her emotionally as well, not just her but all the other kids. And that's also another important part of.
Oh yeah, very much so. With do remember some of those text threads in 2021, or because we didn't physically met until this last year, but you were saying, "Hey, does anybody want to learn Spanish? I can teach Spanish in the park or something." Does that that unfolded for you?
Yes. So we were meeting up with a few moms. Well, the group actually got bigger by 2021, and I realized that there was a need for some Spanish classes, and I wanted to teach the kids Spanish in a fun way, in a way where they could move their body. For example, we would sing songs like head, shoulders, knees, and toes in Spanish and English. And at first, I started just as a hobby. And then after the groups got bigger and it was more consistent, And shortly after that, I got a position as a Spanish instructor at another academy in Monrovia. So that's where I currently teach Spanish at right now.
Okay.
And it's a very play-based way that I teach, and we also I also incorporate a lot of art, so the students have the opportunity to draw and to draw what they're interested in drawing, and after they're done drawing, we go over the names of the pictures in Spanish. And if a child is more advanced in the language, then we move on to sentences based on what they've drawn. So it's really interesting how you can cater to these students based on the level they're at. And
Love that. I love that. And Karla sent some beautiful photos. And due to situation on my end, I'm not sharing them live here, but I will definitely put them in the links. One in particular, they're on the whiteboard, and I saw a sentence about Harry Potter. And you're translating Harry Potter stuff, and then these really pretty pictures. So I love your approach because it's them getting hands-on immersive, but they're also using what they know to figure out how to say it in Spanish.
important doing something that they're interested in, that's how they soak it in more, versus me telling them what to draw. You know?
Right. And just memorize, memorize, memorize. Yeah. They're having fun.
Yeah.
And so, and with a lot of art that you do that at the academy you're at, or do you also do tutoring too? Is it mostly at the academy?
I teach at the academy every week, but I'm also available for tutoring in person and via Zoom.
Okay, nice. Yeah, your approach with children is so sweet. We were at that ice rink last week, and my daughter was having a tough time, but just the way you speak with her and speak with children, it's a gift. You know, some people just have it or they don't. But children respond to other bright lights such as yourself, and I think if you're an educator now with a special skill, that just shows that, you know, people are going to line up. It'll be a waiting list for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, it really makes me happy to see the children brighten up and to have the opportunity to communicate and to interact with them in a fun way where I'm not just interacting, but connecting as well. And that makes me really happy.
Yeah, yeah. Is your daughter fluent in Spanish? Or
She's not completely fluent because I didn't start talking to her in Spanish until she was about 4 years old. And the reason why is because at home, her father only speaks English, and her half sister only speaks English. So at home, when we're all together, we speak English. So that's why she isn't fluent yet, but she knows a lot of Spanish already. And we've been practicing for about 2 years.
oh, see, that's perfect. Yeah, she's young. She's soaking it in.
She understands everything.
Yeah, yeah. And again, with that approach, do you find since you started this with during that crazy blip, are you already growing? Like being at the academy, is it just for the students at the academy, or do other kids come in? I know I'm milking this thing, but I'm just so giddy to know that there's another light worker out there educating.
I love it. You're asking me these questions. So at the academy, I started with young kids. I started teaching young kids, and now we have teenagers coming in as well. And so I'm growing in that way with the different ages and levels. And basically, any homeschooler that wants to take my class is welcome to register at that academy for my classes. It's very simple. Um, it doesn't require much. It's just they would just contact me. The parents would contact me, and then from there, just fill out some basic forms. So
Yeah.
they don't have to necessarily, be a part of the academy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay, cool.
oh,
Good to know. I will share those links also. With the journey so far with your daughter, and you're doing a lot of hands-on, a lot of enrichment stuff. Do you see Do you see anything in the future that you want to have unfold for her? Do you like how the pace is going and you just want to sustain that? Or do you see something different in the future for her? Or like for academics, really? Because I know, like, for mine, she's almost at the 8th grade where the center's over. So we're like, well, what's high school? So we're trying to manifest that now and see what that looks like. So what does the future look like for you for educating your daughter?
Yes. So I plan on having her attend the learning center where she's at right now. And since we have some extra time, um, I believe it's like 2 days out of the week where we make our own schedule. I would like, and the reason I say this is because I know she's interested in being an entrepreneur, a little entrepreneur. She's asked me if we could set up like a stand somewhere, and she wants to sell food and drink. So I would like to do that in the near future and have her experience a little bit of that, maybe similar to the way Girl Scouts do it with the cookies. And at the same time, she'll practice her math that way. She'll practice more social skills and speaking to others about business or transactions, as a kid. That might be fun for her. And she's asked me to do it, and that's why it gave me that idea, because I see that she's interested in that.
She has a spark. I love it. Does she love working with food? Is she a little mini chef?
Well, she does like making basic things at home. For example, juices. She helps me make juices. She loves that, or smoothies. She likes cooking as well. She is definitely very creative, and I think she got that from her dad, because her dad is an artist. He paints cars, classic cars. So he's very artistic, and I think she got that from him.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because you have the coolest pictures lately. You're a hot rod mama. He's been winning awards and stuff. Like, these cars are gorgeous. And he's been doing that a while. So she's involved too. Like, the whole family supports and goes around. I think that's really cool. And out here, that's a very big deal. The hot rod community. Mm-hmm.
That's one of our favorite things to do during our free time, is to go cruising and look at how beautiful all the cars are. And these painters have put in, and the owners have put in a lot of time and effort into making the cars look the way they look. And it's art, and it represents a lot of commitment and using their creativity, using their mind, brainstorming. It's a beautiful thing, and they love it, and they get to share their passions with others. And I feel like that's what the homeschooling community also appreciates, just people being passionate, using their talents, sharing them with others, and it just transmits a beautiful energy.
Oh, it totally does. It's expression. Yeah, passionate expression. That's really cool. Yeah, he definitely is an artist. And congrats on the awards.
Thank you.
And I always love your wardrobe when you're on the cars. You take some beautiful photos.
Thank you.
That was neat. Yeah, I was going to have that in the thumbnail too. Oh my goodness. What else do you guys like to do in SoCal? Like,
we love to go hiking. There's so many beautiful hiking trails here in Sunland, in Gabriel, everywhere. Topanga. I usually go to the local, and sometimes find a stream up there. Is where we went a lot with the homeschooling community during the pandemic. We used to go up the mountains and to this beautiful place where there was a stream, and the kids would just play. They didn't really need toys. All they needed was nature and water, and they could just be there for hours. And it's so good for the mind and the body.
oh, now there was one little blip that got, I think, cut off with the stream, but is that the San Gabriel's you're talking about that you went up in?
This stream is in Sunland.
Sunland. Okay. Yeah, there's so many beautiful nooks, and it was a really safe, beautiful place to gather for them. I always joke that Steiner kids, give them a rock and a stick and they'll be busy for an hour.
They will. It's beautiful that we get to see that, and as homeschooling moms and educators, and we give the kids the opportunity to do that, uh, versus making them sit for hours just writing or copying off the board.
Wait, during that time, I know I wasn't at those meetups, but we started a little pod. Did you ever get into the pod thing or the forest school? I know you're doing the field trips and hangouts, but did it ever turn into, or was it a regular weekly thing? I missed that part too. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much a pod. Yeah, you had your own thing going on. I love that. Oops, I missed that part. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We would meet once a week, and the kids really, the group grew, and that was amazing. And there was plenty of opportunity for the kids to play and socialize, which is one thing that a lot of parents fear when they begin to homeschool. They say, "Oh, is my kid going to socialize enough?" And yes, that's the beautiful thing. You can do that.
Even more so sometimes. It is such a myth. And I don't think I've ever been as more social as I've been since we started the unschooling, homeschooling route. Like you have to say no sometimes just to have quiet time.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities, and I love that. I love to see the parents caring so much, to make sure that the kids are doing what they love, and that's very sweet, and I really appreciate that.
I do too. And I really appreciate too the parents who step into a mission such as yourself. Like you're like, I have this special skill. I'm going to offer it. Is anyone interested? And it just blooms from there. I really think if everyone sat with it for a minute, everyone comes with their own special set of skills. So I kind of feel like the unfolding of the future of education is working on individual skill sets and mentorships, and it's kind of exciting. And when the world was really crazy, and especially when we kind of opened up, Los Angeles area was still on blast. And I know we both had a lot of friends flee and go to other areas. What makes you, I know this wasn't on what makes you want to stick around?
Sure.
Or do you?
Well, there's many things that make me want to stay in California. Number one would be family, and then the second, well, there's so many important reasons, but also the homeschooling community is so big here. So there's a lot of there's learning centers, there's a lot of classes, different classes for homeschoolers. There's extracurricular activities such as gymnastics, dance. It's just, there's a lot of options if you want to homeschool here in this state. And so I really love that, and to have that community, that support, it just makes me feel happy, and it makes me feel like I don't need to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like we're on the transitioning team because it has been, 8 years since a lot of those crazy mandates started. A lot of homeschoolers make different medical choices based on what's best for their family. The common goal is what's best for the child, but a majority of us like to have freedom and medical choice and personal choice. So now we're creating all these avenues that suits us. It is such a beautiful terrain. I would hate for those unlawful mandates to take over and win. It's like, no. This is our town.
And I feel like there's always a solution, especially having a community like ours. There will always be a solution, and that makes me feel at peace.
Oh, it makes me so feel at peace. And that's what I always hashtag find the others. We just keep finding each other and supporting. And, what do you have to offer? What do you have to? And with that being said, a lot of our friends who did choose to leave totally honoring you. And I'm grateful because we have some epic road trips coming up, visiting some of our friends who have gone to the Dripping Springs area, the Austin area. They've traveled and they're implementing these protocols and trying something new in other places. So that's how it kind of spreads too. So we're keeping it real and grounded here in LA, but our friends, they've made decisions to move on, and they're honored, and they're just blooming elsewhere and bringing that high vibe over there. So I think that's really cool too, though. But knowing so many people have left, I feel like we're multiplying still. Like do you have anybody like in your family or your friends that have come to you just in the past 2-3 years and been like, oh my goodness, Karla, tell me what you know. I'm waking up to these things.
Oh yes, every week at the academy where I work at, there's there's people that are coming in that are pulling their children out of the public schools or even some private schools. So I see them every week, and they've asked me questions as well from my experience, and I share it with them. And the parents love that they're able to send their children to a place that's safe and where they trust the educators and what their kids are learning. They love that and they appreciate that.
I love that you said every week. I wasn't expecting you to say that. That's really exciting. If there's a sweep, it's a wave happening. That's exciting. Yeah, I used to do a lot of talking on here about letting the old systems collapse and fall, but you don't want to get people unhinged or mad or at a loss. So it feels like it's transition time. People are pulling out slowly, starting something new, pulling away from an old system that doesn't work and starting a new one. So, and we're kind of way showing for that. So that's pretty exciting. Do you ever see yourself in your own little school? It's
Uh,
like,
yes, well, I see myself doing it uh, at the academy and on my own as well. The academy is in Monrovia, and I live further away, so I'd like to do a little bit of both. And definitely, I'm incorporating more dance into this, so I see myself doing a little bit more of that as well. It's a routine where you learn Spanish through dance, and you count, I basically say that, like, we could pretend that we're a butterfly, and I'll say, let's fly like a butterfly, and in Spanish that would be vamos a volar como una mariposa. Just different ways to incorporate Spanish into the dance routine, and that is fun. I've already started practicing with the owner of a studio in Burbank.
awesome. Oh, yeah, I picture you in a studio. It's like there's some art over here and the dance over here.
Almost, it's like there's a lot of art there. Yeah,
In Spanish in motion.
I love that description. That pretty much sums it up.
Oh, that's so fun. I'm excited for you. But you're still like your full-time mom. You're running the household too, and you have your divine partnership and you're balancing everything. How do you find balance in all of this? You just go with the flow, or are you routined and scheduled out, or
Well, it's a lot of the time I just go with the flow, and to say balance, there's days where I focus more on the activities or on my classes, and then maybe the next week it'll look a little bit different. It depends on what's going on, so I would say I definitely go with the flow. And but it my energy's there, my heart's there, and that's what keeps me going. I've always loved working with people in English and Spanish. Right out of high school, well, not right out of high school, 2 years after high school, I worked at a hospital, and my favorite part about working in that hospital was being an interpreter for the doctors and the patients, and just being able to help them communicate and understand each other that way. And I did that for about 5 years. I knew that was my favorite part. And
Wow, yeah, that's what were you saying before we taped? Something about it wasn't about the medical. It was like the service to others. You're pretty much you're a bridge. You're a bridge and service to others. You're bridging two different lifestyles and cultures and worlds together. That's really sweet. So no medical stuff for you. You were just really walking around saying, "Who wants to talk?"
oh yeah, that was my favorite part. I quickly realized that that was just the area that I was enjoying the most, and that really made me feel like I was stepping into my purpose with communication and helping people. But the medical stuff, I quickly realized I wasn't very much into it.
But you got to see a lot, I bet. Discern a lot.
Yeah.
How did your daughter's father, your partnership, how did that come to be? And is he supporting this creative journey of yours? Well, I know he is, but oh yeah. So how's the support at home with your expansion and your dreams and visions?
Sure. Well, my husband really, he's happy that I'm able to do this, and he supports me in my career. He really believes that people should do what their gifts and their talents and what makes them happy. That's what he's doing. So he really believes in that, for me as his wife, and also for our kids. So
Aw,
important. I feel really good having that.
that's a sacred divine partnership. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more of those. They're just getting grounded, and the the sacred divine relationship has been creating many a star seed out there.
Yeah, and I love that we get to motivate our kids and see what their talents are and how we can help them, so that when they're older and it's time for them to have a career, they know what those talents are. They know what makes them happy. And if they don't know yet, at least they're in touch with their feelings, and they can find their way that way, just paying attention to.
That's it, empowering the child and
Yeah.
giving them that secure foundation where they can express themselves freely. Yeah. And I do find the center gives me that routine, that at least 3 day structure of academics and curriculum. And then I really love that freedom of the last chunk of the week, because we do find special skills we like to focus on and practice, but we like going with the flow too. Like this week, we were off this week with the center, but the crazy weather that's happening now. I mean, did you see that? Like, there's snow on the Hollywood sign. Like, it's fun. It's like adventure time. We're not drudging back and forth to school. We're like enjoying the weather and talking about it and exploring it more. We get the freedom to kind of. It's a little less stressful. I feel that
Yeah,
homeschool route. Hmm.
I think you're right. Especially, we, in California, sometimes we do have crazy weather. It could be raining one day, and then 2 days later it's sunny. But this week it was cold and it rained a lot, and I really liked being able to stay home with my daughter, and just have that time where we could bond and communicate.
It's so sweet. And when we do go back to center, I see we're going to have a couple more rain days. But what I do love about it there is they're still going to go outside and play. Like, of course, depending, monsoon depending. But it's kind of like a guarantee if you have a Steiner kid, you're going to come home muddy.
Yeah, love that. And I'm glad that the school, the center is okay with that.
Yeah. And they have a beautiful property to honor that. Lunchtime, um, yeah, a lot of kids in the trees and things of that nature. It's not quite a concrete jungle.
It-
Would you ever put yourself out there and invite your offerings to the center?
oh, sure. Yes, I would.
I'm just putting that out there for you.
I would totally be open to that, especially because the way they teach at the center aligns very well with the way I teach. So I feel like it's a good match.
It sounds it. It's very hands-on, child-led, and something I didn't ask you, but I'm sorry if you already said it. Not just the academy, but you tutor. Do you do all ages in one group? Is it just by the level you are at in learning Spanish, or do you like to focus on like little kids, middle school kids, teenagers? Is
Yes.
there? Mhm.
So for tutoring, it's usually one-on-one, but if there is a group, then we could certainly mix the group, and I would I would cater to each child depending on the level they're in. There,
Gotcha.
yes. But right now, the most of the phone calls I'm getting for tutoring are just one-on-one. But I am groups as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was asking because I was just picturing the classrooms. Like, you can come in my fourth grade and then you can go to Huck's class.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, what's on the horizon the rest of the year for you? Just more dancing and art and all that good stuff. Does she do shows with that, or I just asked you a couple questions at once?
okay. So on the horizon for me for the rest of the year, well, I'm in the process of completing my health and mindfulness coach certification. So I'm planning on integrating that as well. And
Beautiful. To explain more of that, health and mindfulness coach. Okay.
so I'm part of a program, and I've been taking my classes to become a health and mindfulness coach, and I would like to start working with teens and how to be that support to have someone to guide them or to communicate with them, and just someone that can listen, and also if they have questions about careers, have some type of assessment where we can both figure out what type of careers are good or would be of interest to the teens. Sometimes we talk about that as well in my conversational Spanish class, but it's just very basic. So I would ask them questions like, "What makes you happy? ¿Qué te hace feliz? What do you like to do during your free time? ¿Qué te gusta hacer durante tu tiempo libre? What are your hobbies?" So it's just basically asking them questions so they can realize it on their own, and that way they could they could see what their talents are, and think about that. But for health and mindfulness, I'm really excited to keep learning. I'm still in the program, but one day I would like to be to work with teams, to be a person that can help in that way.
I just think that's so imperative at this time because it has been so crazy the last few years that the teens are going through that adolescent and those hormones and all these changes. They need a lot more mentors. Have you met Kelly Meehan? She's from Topanga. Do you know that name? I figured that she'd be in one of the circles that we would know, but that's someone I want you to introduce you and make that connection because she as well is inspired to work more with teens as of late. She's feeling this call. I just love that.
Connect with her.
Beautiful. Let's do. Well, where can people find you? I know I'm going to send a link below, but do you have a website yet, or is it social media, or?
Sure. Yes, I have a social media page. Uh, the easiest one would be the my Facebook page, which is Spanish Classes by Karla. That's Facebook. And I also have an email, and it's very similar. And it's Spanish Classes by Karla, and it's with a K. Spanish Classes by Karla at gmail.com.
Okay, beautiful. I'm going to be sharing all those links below when this airs, and so people can find you directly. And oh, I'm excited for you, and I want to get my kids signed up for that. They've both been missing Spanish. We had that at our old school, and I know at our new center we do speak a different language there, or we're learning a different language there. But we are in Los Angeles. I kind of think we need Spanish in our back pocket.
Yeah, it's very common here.
Yeah.
way to come across Spanish speakers. So it's also learning a new language is also very good for the mind, for the brain. It exercises the mind, brain, and it really helps with that.
I totally agree. It shapes up a whole different part of the brain that we don't normally use. Just more mental work for the kids. I love it. Well, you did beautiful. Thank you, Karla. That was so fun. Is there anything else you feel like maybe you didn't get a chance to share? Because I know I was very random with my questions.
Oh, I loved all your questions, and I feel like we got to talk about some good topics. My daughter, my homeschooling experience, me as an educator, my curriculum, what I see in the future, or this year for myself and my daughter. And I think you asked some really great questions, and thank you so much for having me here. I feel so blessed to be able to do this with you.
Oh, I was so excited. I was excited. You're like, yeah, I'll do it. So if any of other pals want to come play, hit me up. Thank you for also sharing your journey because, again, I want to normalize this. I want to show all of our different human experiences, the journeys we're taking as parents on the homeschool journey. It's not going to be the same pattern as anybody else, and that's the exciting part. And we can learn from one another and inspire one another. And yeah, onward and upward. It's all about the kids. Yay. Well, thank you, Karla.
Thank you so much.
My best to your family. Enjoy all this cozy weather.
Thank you. We will. And you have a wonderful day with your family as well.
Thank you. I'll see your bright light daughter on Monday morning.
Cool.
I'm going to end this, but I'll stay in. So 1 second. Bye, everybody. Thank you.